everybody, I'm Yvonne Williams with Back to Earth Creations, and in this video I want to show you guys how I am going to use these beads that have giant holes in them. These were actually made on a lathe by Your Turn Wood Turning. He gave these to me as part of a tip that, for my work on a custom piece that I had done for him, like 2 years ago now. But super talented fellow. I'll put a link to his Instagram down below, but I have been holding on to these for like almost 2 years now because they're so pretty, and I'll get you guys a better look at them through a different camera angle, but they're gorgeous, and I finally figured out a way to be able to do them justice, hopefully through wrapping them. So let's get started. So please do not mind my messy work surface as I get the camera situated. But now you can really see though, these have big old holes, like, I mean, 5 to 6 millimeters wide for sure. But he casts the resin and they are just gorgeous. Like, the camera does not do them justice with the, like, I don't even know how he did this, but they are beautiful and I love them. But I wanted to be able to, you know, wear them. And so I wanted to show you guys, and this is a very, very beginner project. And I feel like that's okay, because even, you know, having a decade of wire wrapping under my belt, sometimes it's nice to just do a beginner-friendly project. So I'm going to begin by finding a bead that will not slide through our main bead hole. And these techniques can be utilized with any variety of different sized beads with different sized bead holes. So we're going to be utilizing some different beads, bead caps, like these here, which I thought were really cool, and head pins. Now here I have a ball pin, which is a head pin but with a ball tip, and this is just a little like 3 or 4 millimeter bead cap that I'm just going to slide through. And I use this technique quite a bit, like you can see here on these beads, because the hole was large enough that the ball pin was just sliding right through the tiger's eye. So I just use that as almost a washer to keep it from sliding through. And now I'm going to slide on, this is an 8 millimeter brass bead. And so you can see it blends out really nicely. If I wanted to, I could have used a contrasting color. And then just slide onto there. And then to keep this from, I don't want this just kind of knocking and sliding around a bit. So I'm going to try sliding through our main bead cap to see if that stabilizes it, which it does. But there have been times in the past that if you aren't using a bead cap, that I've actually packed it with, like, putting on rondels or scrap, like, kind of plastic beads, like plastic pony beads that you can actually, like, sand down and use just as spacers to help fill all that wibbly wobbly space. So I'm going to slide on our bead cap. So it sits like that. Gosh, I do love that bead though. And now I'm actually going to use a 4 millimeter brass bead, just slid onto the top there, and that can help stabilize a little further. And then we'll be using flat nose pliers, and I'm just going to bend at a 90 degree, a few millimeters, well, and then I throw it on the ground. Where did you go? There you are. What good fortune. All the beads are still on there, plus a bit of dog fur. Okay. Hashtag professional quality YouTube videos. Oh man. I just swept too, jeez. It's wobbling a bit more than I want though. Like, I think even with it being wrapped, it's still going to be quite wobbly. So I'm going to see if I can't stuff a bead in there. So here I have a 6 millimeter brass bead, and what we would do is just see how many, it looks like I might be able to fit a 3rd or even a 4th bead. And these guys are just going to be acting as buffers. So now it doesn't wobble nearly as much as what it did. And then, would I be able to fit another one? Or I don't think I would be able to. Okay, where'd that bead go? Let's try this again. So we slide on the 4mm bead. Then we're going to use, there they are, our flat nose pliers, again, to do that bend. And I'm having it be just a couple millimeters away from the top of our bead to give us room to wrap. And so now using round nose pliers, I'm going to come in and grip just right there. You can go however far up, like if you wanted a smaller loop, I would just come closer to the tips of my pliers. If I wanted a larger loop, I would come further up the nose of my pliers. So I like to work right here though. That's a pretty good spot. And I'm just wrapping around and then bringing it across. So you can see like that. And now I'm actually going to take this and open that loop up just a little bit because I want to thread on this bail. And since this is going to be a wrapped loop, I want the bail to go ahead and be on there for the next step. And so now from here, I'm just going to reinsert my round nose pliers, then using whatever pliers you like. I prefer my bent nose. I'm just going to grab the tail and start wrapping it around our center line wire. Oop. Pliers slipped, that's okay. Those things happen. And so from here we could go ahead and snip that, or we could do, I'm going to do a little curly Q because I just want to. So I pinched it down, that way things are nice and snug. You can kind of shift it so that I like to maintain a center line. And now I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I had some super petite tipped round nose pliers, but I think they got snagged by somebody at one of my classes because I cannot find them. Like for like 6 months I haven't been able to find them. So I'm just taking it and curling up like that so that we have a nice little curly Q. And that's completely optional, but I love a good curly Q. And that is how I wrapped a bead with a giant hole in it. And this is just one of infinite ways that you could wrap a project like this. And using these same basic techniques, you could do, I mean, so many different things. Now I actually think I'm going to try a little different on the other one. This one's very whimsical and hangy downy, but I want to see if I can't reduce the amount of space between the cap and the bail. So on the next one, hello dog fur, I'm going to repeat the same process of just putting on the bead cap and then our large bead, sliding on right there. And then I'm actually going to use, instead of using the bead cap, I'm just going to use one of these large beads right at the top again. So again, similar techniques, very different look. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and bend just a few millimeters away. Start that loop around. Pick my bail. Thread it on. And I like these bails because they look a lot nicer than just a chainmail ring, I think. And on such a simplistic or simple pendant, it can be nice to add a little bit of fun to it with a nice bail. Okay, reinserting my pliers just to hold. And you don't want to be squeezing so hard that stuff starts distorting. And then wrapping around the center wire. I'm just going to do layers and layers of this, and because these stacked coils here are going to keep everything nice and snug. So just get in there, pinching it down. Using our flush cutters, I'm going to get in as close as I can. Oh, snip. And then tuck that tail. There we are. It would have been a good idea, I think, to have put another one of these small bead caps on the top here, but maybe next time. So there we are. Another beautifully simple pendant that I think I'll get a lot of joy from wearing. So there we are. Definitely a beginner-friendly project, but things like these I think are great for whenever you need a bit more inventory for in your booth, or you need to give your hands a break from a more complex project but still want to make things. Y'all, thanks so much for hanging out with me for this video. I hope that it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please leave those down below. There's links to, since so many of these were given to me, and I'll try to link to the materials down in the description, but I can't guarantee that they'll be exactly the same. If anything, there is a link to my most commonly used materials. That way you can find like the pliers and stuff that I like using and different things like that. But if you have any questions though, just pop them over to me and I'll try my best to get back to you. And I really recommend following Your Turn Wood Turning on Instagram because he does amazing work. Like, all of his stuff is beautiful. So it's pretty neat. Also, there are links down in the video description to my different social media, so if you want to tag me on Instagram or post something to my Facebook wall so that I can see what you're up to, I love that. Like, that's my favorite thing is to kind of scroll through and see what you guys are doing, but it can get kind of overwhelming, so tagging me and stuff really helps kind of keep all that sorted. Also, there is a link to my Patreon if you enjoy my free tutorials and would like to support the creation of more of them, as well as get behind the scenes pictures and videos and things, as well as digital download content and monthly craft crates and all the different stuff that we're doing here at Back to Earth Creations. Please consider joining us over there. Pledges start at just $1, and I say just $1, but every little bit goes such a long way. Like, it may just be $1 to you, but it's the world to me. So thank you guys for that. And then also, I post quite a bit of stuff too that you don't even have to be a pledger to see. So progress pictures, concept art, different things like that. And so you don't have to be a pledger. You just have to have a Patreon account, which is really easy to set up. But I try to have a little bit of everything for everybody over there. So on that note, y'all, I will see you in my next video. So until then, happy crafting. Bye.